Writing copy Sophie and I met in 2017. She was smart, warm, and made every room brighter. 4 years together felt like a lifetime in the best way. We planned trips, talked about marriage, built dreams out of coffee and laughter. My parents adored her. She joined every family dinner, helped my mom cook, and made my dad laugh again. Everyone thought we were the next wedding in the family. My best friend Ryan said she was the one. He had been in my life since college, my brother in every way but blood. We shared apartments, jobs, road trips, and heartbreaks. When I started dating Sophie, he told me I was lucky. I believed him. Life felt solid, like the pieces finally fit. Then one Tuesday night, everything cracked. Sophie came over, quiet and restless. She said she needed space, time, freedom. She talked about finding herself, about not being ready. I listened numb, trying to understand where it went wrong. She cried. I begged for a reason. She gave me vague words wrapped in silence. By the end of the night, I was single. I didn't sleep for days. Ryan showed up with beer and sympathy. He said breakups hurt, but life moves on. He stayed late, made jokes, distracted me with video games. He told me I'd find someone better. He said Sophie wasn't ready for someone like me. I trusted him. Weeks passed. The ache became background noise. Work helped. Therapy helped. Ryan helped most. Until the night everything came undone. A mutual friend threw a birthday party in the city. I went hesitant but trying to move forward. And there they were, Ryan and Sophie, standing close, laughing like they shared a secret. Her hand brushed his arm. He looked at her like I once did. Something inside me snapped. I confronted them outside under the cold neon light. My voice shook, but I asked anyway. What's going on between you two? Silence. Then Sophie said, since January. I felt my chest cave in. January, when we were still together. When I was planning to propose, Ryan stammered that it just happened. That they didn't mean to. Sophie said they were in love. Love. That word hit like a weapon. 4 years of trust vanished in seconds. I told them never to contact me again. I left without looking back. For 3 days I stayed in my apartment, barely moving. I deleted photos, blocked numbers, and packed her things in silence. The betrayal from Sophie cut deep. But Ryan's betrayal shattered something older, heavier. 15 years of friendship gone. The person I would have chosen as best man at my wedding. He became a stranger overnight. Our friends were furious. Some cut him off immediately. Others didn't know what to say. I started therapy again. My parents called daily, furious on my behalf. They said they'd never forgive either of them. For a moment, I believed family would be my safe place again. I had no idea that the worst betrayal was still waiting. Magic editCtrlKText. Writing copy. 3 months passed after the breakup. The pain dulled but never disappeared. I worked, climbed, traveled, tried to rebuild myself. My parents called often, proud that I was doing better. They said they'd always be on my side. I believed them. Then one Thursday evening, everything twisted again. My mom called while I was cooking dinner. Her voice had that careful softness that meant bad news. Ethan, we need to talk about something. I wiped my hands and waited. Ryan called your father yesterday. I froze. The sound of the knife hitting the counter felt too loud. Why would he call Dad? She hesitated. They're engaged, honey, Ryan and Sophie. The air left my lungs. I thought she was joking. Then she said, he asked if we could host their engagement party here. Here in the house I paid for, in the house I saved from foreclosure. You said no, right? Silence stretched long enough to answer for her. Your father and I think it's best to stay neutral. That word again. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. They cheated on me. In that house, how can you stay neutral? She sighed. They made a mistake, but they seem happy now. A mistake, I shouted. They lied to me for months. You called her a snake, remember? We're not judging anyone, Ethan. We just want peace. Peace for who? I asked. For everyone, she whispered. My chest tightened. It felt like betrayal all over again, only worse. They were supposed to protect me, not celebrate the people who broke me. I said one thing clearly. If you host that party, I'm done helping you. She said I was overreacting, that I was letting anger control me. But I wasn't angry. I was done. The next morning, Dad called, calm as ever. We don't want to hurt you. Then don't host it, I said. It's not that simple, he answered. It is, I said. Either support me or support them. Talked about friendships, community, keeping appearances. I talked about loyalty and respect. He said, we're staying neutral. I said, then I'll be neutral too. Neutral about your groceries, your taxes, your bills. Went quiet. For the first time, he sounded scared. I didn't back down. That weekend, they called again, begging me to reconsider. I said the same thing. You can't use my money to celebrate my betrayal. Cried. She said I was being cruel. I said I was setting boundaries. They hung up. 2 days later, Dad called again. We've decided to host the party. Just like that, no apology, no hesitation. I told him the support ended immediately. He said I was vindictive. I said I was consistent. That night I canceled every automatic payment, mortgage, property tax, groceries, gone. For the first time in 3 years, they were on their own. I stared at the ceiling that night, shaking but certain. They chose neutrality. I chose myself. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty about it. Magic editCtrlKText. Writing Copy the House was quiet for a few days. No calls, no messages. I waited, half hoping they'd change their minds. They didn't. Sunday evening, my mom called again. She was crying before I even said hello. Please, Ethan, don't punish us for trying to do the right thing. Right thing? I asked. The right thing is supporting your son. She said they didn't want to take sides, that they just wanted everyone to move forward. I told her neutrality wasn't peace. It was betrayal disguised as kindness. She said I was being selfish. I said I was being honest. The next day, my dad called. We're hosting the party. It's done. I felt nothing but a cold certainty. Then the money stops, I said. He tried to argue, saying I was being emotional. I reminded him of every check I'd sent, every roof repair, every tax payment, every week of groceries. He said that was a gift. I said, exactly, and gifts can end. That night, I opened my banking app and cut every transfer, no hesitation. No second thoughts. My phone buzzed nonstop for the next 2 days. Texts, missed calls, guilt messages. I ignored all of them until my sister Olivia called. What the hell did you say to Mom and Dad? She asked. They're freaking out. I told her everything. She went silent. Then she said, good. They needed a reality check. I almost laughed. She was furious at them for even considering the party. She said she'd call and talk to them herself. 2 hours later, she texted me. It's bad. They're stubborn. Apparently, they told her she didn't understand adult relationships. She told them they'd lost both their kids in 1 day. Still, they didn't cancel the party. That week felt endless. I went to work, went to the gym, came home, and tried to stay numb. Then the day of the engagement party arrived. I didn't go, obviously. But Jake, my old friend, drove by and texted me updates. About 20 cars here, he wrote. Catering van just arrived. I stared at the message until my hands shook. They were really doing it, celebrating my ex and my ex-best friend in my parents' house, the house I paid for. That night, I sat on my couch and let the reality sink in. My parents had chosen appearance over loyalty, comfort over conscience, and they called it neutrality. The next morning, my dad called again from a new number. He said the party was nice. I asked why he thought I'd want to hear that. To show maturity, he said. Move on. I already moved on, I replied. Away from all of you. He said they were struggling financially now. I told him to adjust their expectations. He said I was cruel. I said I was consistent. That was the last real conversation we had for weeks. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the bad guy. Magic editCtrlKText. Writing Copy the Silence didn't last long. A week after the party, the messages began again. Mom sent pictures of their empty fridge. Underneath, she wrote, "Is this what you wanted?" Dad texted photos of grocery receipts. Cheap ramen, canned beans, off-brand bread. They were trying to guilt me back into paying. I ignored every message. I had warned them. They made their choice. Olivia called a few days later. Telling everyone you abandoned them, she said. They're playing the victim. I wasn't surprised. Family started calling one by one. My aunt, my cousins, even my grandmother. Each conversation was the same. How could you leave your parents with nothing? I told them the truth, that they chose to celebrate betrayal in a house I paid for. Some understood, most didn't. I stopped answering calls. Then one afternoon, an email arrived from my parents' lawyer. The subject line made my stomach drop. They were threatening legal action, claiming I'd committed financial elder abuse. That by cutting off the money, I'd endangered them. I laughed out loud, then called my lawyer. She read the letter twice and said, "This is nonsense." She wrote a response, firm and clear. I owed them nothing. Every dollar I gave was a gift, not an obligation. If they sued, we'd counter for harassment. We sent the letter. They never replied. The case died quietly, but something inside me broke again. They'd tried to use the law to force my love, to turn family into contract. That night, I sat alone, staring at the ceiling. I wondered how we got here, how love turned into leverage, how neutrality became betrayal. Christmas came. Normally, we'd all gather at their house. This time, Olivia and I booked a hotel downtown. We ordered room service, watched movies, and ignored our phones. It was quiet, peaceful in a way I hadn't felt in years. Meanwhile, my parents spent the holiday alone. I heard through an aunt that they called crying. They said they couldn't believe their children abandoned them. I felt nothing but relief. I finally understood the cost of boundaries. It wasn't cruelty. It was survival. In January, a call came from an unknown number. It was my dad. His voice was softer than I remembered. "We've been thinking about everything," he said. "We were wrong. We should have supported you." I waited. He kept talking. "We told Ryan and Sophie we can't see them anymore." I didn't answer right away. Months of anger, guilt, and exhaustion pressed on my chest. He said, "We know we hurt you." "We're sorry." I wanted to believe him. Part of me did, part of me couldn't. I told him I needed time. He said they'd wait as long as it took. When the call ended, I sat in silence. For the first time in months, I didn't feel rage. Just a hollow, quiet ache that maybe, finally, could heal. Magic editCtrlKText. Writing copy 2 weeks passed after my father's call. I replayed his words every night before sleeping. Part of me wanted to forgive. Part of me still burned. Olivia said they sounded sincere. My therapist told me to decide based on actions, not guilt, so I waited. Then Mom reached out asking to meet for coffee. We chose a neutral spot halfway between us. When I arrived, they were already there. They looked smaller somehow, thinner, older. Mom's hands trembled around her cup. Dad's eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Thank you for coming," Mom said quietly. I nodded but didn't smile. "I need to make something clear before we talk," I said. "If we rebuild anything, things must change completely." They both nodded immediately. "First," I said, "what you did wasn't neutrality, it was betrayal." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "We know," she said. "We told ourselves we were doing the right thing, but we were wrong." "You chose them over me," I said. Dad nodded slowly. "We did, and it's haunted us every day since." "Second," I continued, "if I help you again, it's a choice, not a duty." Dad said, "Understood, you owe us nothing." "Third," I said, "I don't want to hear their names again. Ryan and Sophie are dead to me." Wiped her tears and whispered, "We've already cut them off. We haven't spoken to them since January." I watched their faces for any sign of manipulation. There was only regret. "Finally," I said, "if you ever choose them again, we're done for good." Reached across the table, stopping halfway. "Will never happen again," she said. I let the silence stretch between us. Then I said softly, "I need time." Dad's voice cracked. "Take all the time you need, son. We deserve that." Finished our coffee without talking much. It was awkward, fragile, but not hostile. When I left, Mom whispered, "We love you." I didn't answer, but I nodded. Later that night, Olivia called. "How did it go?" she asked. "Well as it could," I said. "They're sorry, really sorry." "Do you believe?" "Not sure yet," I admitted. "I think they finally understand." For the next few weeks, we texted occasionally. Short, polite messages. Weather, work, small talk, safe topics. No apologies, no drama. Each message felt like testing thin ice. By March, Dad invited me for another coffee. I went. He looked better this time. He thanked me for giving them a chance to make things right. Mom said they were grateful just to hear from me again. I believed her. Forgiveness didn't feel easy or clean. It felt like rebuilding a house after a fire, slow, messy, necessary. As I left that day, Dad said, "We just want to earn back your trust." I told him, "Trust isn't a gift, it's work." He nodded. For the first time in a long while, I thought maybe we could work on it. Magic editCtrlKText. Writing copy 3 months passed since that coffee meeting. The air between us felt lighter, though still cautious. We texted sometimes, met every other week for lunch. No arguments, no guilt, just quiet conversation. It wasn't the same, but it was something. They seemed genuinely changed. Dad found part-time work again, fixing small construction jobs. Mom picked up shifts at a bookstore near home. They didn't complain anymore. They didn't ask for money either. In late March, I decided to help a little, not like before. I sent them $400 a week, enough to live, not to depend. When the transfer hit, Dad texted only 2 words. "Thank you." No explanations, no pleading, just gratitude. It felt different this time, healthier. Boundaries made the love real again. I still saw my therapist. We talked about guilt, forgiveness, and what family meant now. She said healing wasn't about forgetting, but redefining trust. That made sense. Mom started sending me photos of her garden again. Tomatoes, lavender, small things growing in sunlight. It reminded me of childhood before the debt, before betrayal. Sometimes nostalgia hurt more than anger. But at least it didn't feel toxic anymore. Then in April, Olivia told me something unexpected. "Ryan and Sophie got married," she said. "A courthouse wedding, small, quiet, just a few friends. No family, no celebration. My parents didn't go. They kept their promise." For a moment, I felt the old ache return. Not jealousy, just the memory of what they'd destroyed. I asked how they were doing. "Apparently happy," Olivia said. "Them be," I replied. I didn't even feel angry, just detached. They had built their life on my ruin, and I had built mine without them. That was enough. A week later, Dad called again. He said they'd finally caught up on bills. He said the house felt like home again, not a burden. He thanked me again, not for money, but for another chance. I told him he'd earned it. He went quiet, then said, "We're proud of you, Ethan." Those words hit harder than I expected. Not because I needed them, but because they finally meant something. Family didn't mean blind loyalty anymore. It meant boundaries, respect, and choice. I chose to care, but differently this time. The anger had faded. In its place was something steadier, calmer. Forgiveness wasn't a single moment. It was a long road, walked in silence and patience. Some nights, I still thought about everything that happened. The betrayal, the party, the lawsuits, the begging. But instead of rage, I felt distance. The story had closed. Ryan and Sophie lived their version. My parents lived theirs. And I finally was living mine. No more debts, no more conditions, just peace built from the ashes of everything that broke me. Magic editCtrlKText. Writing copy months later, life finally felt quiet again. The noise, the anger, the guilt, it all faded like background static. I visited my parents sometimes on Sundays. We talked about simple things, coffee, weather, small wins. There were no apologies left to give, and none needed. Forgiveness had already done its work. They learned that love isn't proven by silence or neutrality. It's proven by standing beside the people who deserve it. As for me, I stopped measuring peace by what I'd lost. I measured it by what I refused to carry anymore. Ryan and Sophie were ghosts now, names that meant nothing. My parents were human again, flawed, repentant, trying, and I was free. Free from guilt, from debt, from the need to be the savior. Sometimes I still drive by their house at night. The lights glow warm through the windows. For the first time, I don't feel anger when I see them. Just distance, calm, and closure. Maybe that's what healing really is. Not erasing the pain, but outgrowing it. Magic editCtrlKText.